Welcome to the A&R Worldwide podcast presented by Nuplak with your boy Taylor Jones here as your host. This is the Executives in Discussion podcast where we talk to experienced executives and creatives. We dive into their journeys, ups and downs, the state of the business, where they see it going, and of course gathering some priceless advice and key takeaways. If you're in the music industry or you're looking to get your start in the music biz and want to hear from the very best, this podcast is for you. A pleasure to be joined by EDM DJ, AI artist, copywriter, creative director, and current business head at TM Ventures, Ashish Jose. Ashish has helped earn the company its reputation as a trusted marketplace for popular entertainment and talent in India. They represent the biggest names in the country. Ashish works in the heart of the multifaceted IP churner Create and Collab at TM Ventures company, overseeing lots of IP, including the very well-respected music industry convention, the #1 in India, All About Music. Let's get into discussion. Ashish, my guy.
What's up, Taylor? How you doing, man?
Good to see you again.
Again, after India.
I know. Last time I saw you was at All About Music.
Yes, it was.
A convention that you guys actually run.
Yes.
And put on. And at that one, you had, you gave me the honor to be your guest.
And thank you so much for having me here. Super honored to be here.
I'm really glad that you're here. And it's awesome to see a familiar face.
Same here.
And I'm looking forward to, once again, seeing you maybe in a week from now.
Yes, and then you coming back to All About Music.
And then I'm coming back to All About Music later on in the year, which is going to be great. And we'll talk more about the global landscape of A&R and all that stuff. But since then, of course, my idea was to prominently start working with more Indian acts and Indian superstars, and of course yourself and the rest of the crew at TM and all of the other verticals that you've got as well, like Create and Collab and everything else, have been really welcoming our collaboration. I'm really, really grateful.
And you guys have been super helpful. Like the work that you guys help us do is incredible. Like with the connection that we have through you and the partnership that we're trying to develop has been amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you. Great collaboration is always mutual. It's two ways, and so we're grateful for you too.
Amazing.
So, Ashish, you are a business head at TM, and you have a really, really, really diverse set of skills and a diverse background, because not only are you now operating in an executive role, but you're also a former musician and a bass DJ.
Like everyone mostly is in the music industry.
And you do AI and
I do
copywriting.
I ran a design agency for 6 years, and then post that, I was lucky enough to beta test Midjourney, which is an AI app, and then
I use Midjourney all the time.
Really? So
all the time.
Yeah, so I got to beta test Midjourney for a bit, and that's how I got into like AI art. And then that's also something that I do. It's like a creative outlet for me, because I find myself working all the time. I need things that I'm able to express my creativity through, and music and art plays that role in my life.
And the irony is that even when you're doing art, actually you're using tech to your advantage to make the art that you want to make. And a lot of people would consider that work, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll come back to your role at TM and all the cool and exciting projects you're working on. Let's rewind all the way back to the inception of your beginnings in the music industry. When did you first experience the musical, the small musical guy from within that wanted to blast out onto the scenes and start making music and start, did you do shows? How did you start your evolution? And then we'll go from there into the next chapter.
I think it started in school. I had a really amazing, so I'm Catholic, and I used to go to Sunday school. And I had this amazing pastor who used to play the guitar. And I didn't really like his songs, but then I knew that if I learned those gospel songs, I'd be able to play my metal music. And that's how, when I was around 10 is when I picked up the guitar.
So metal music?
Yes.
So you're in a metal?
I used to be in a metal band, metal and hardcore band, for like 6 years.
Very cool.
Yeah, I used to play bass.
Different from the music that you're currently working on as a representative.
Very, very different from the music. It was a completely different world. In fact, I cut my teeth in the Indian indie industry. I was working for this festival called NH7 Weekender. That was one of the first music festivals out of India. Now it's gone on to become one of the biggest music festivals in the country. 70,000 people over 3 days. Primarily focuses on independent music.
When is it?
It's in December this year.
Okay.
if you can come.
Maybe I'll try.
Yeah, so
I'll try and be there.
I mean, I don't work for them anymore, but I'm a very big proponent of that festival. And if you're around during that time, you should definitely come and attend.
Cool.
And that's so I got into music, moved cities to pursue my higher education, and that's where I met a lot of musicians who I kind of collaborated with. I was part of a artist collective that was started by Red Bull. It was funded by them, and we were part of this residency that kind of sparked everything. Pursued music for 6 years, came to New York to this electronic music school called Dubspot. That's where I studied music, and then weirdly, while I was at Dubspot, I had a lot of friends from Parsons, which is a design agency. And I came here to study music, but I ended up liking design. And I went back as a designer and started a design agency within music where I was working on logo design and creatives for a bunch of musicians and artists across India.
Do you build the blueprints for design and content creation at TM now as well?
Yes, I do. That's something I really love doing. It's not part of my role, but I find myself being drawn towards that a lot because of my background.
Yeah. Okay. So where did you go next from the design agency?
Well, I moved cities. I got married in the middle of all this.
Where were you living?
I was living in Delhi. That's the capital of India. Yeah. And then we moved to Bombay. That's where my wife is from. And
which we know as Mumbai.
Mumbai. I like to say Bombay. I like to say Bombay because that's the name of the city for me.
Want to know what's funny is that when I first came to India, and people were saying Bombay, they were referring to Mumbai, but I thought that maybe they were two different places or a place within Mumbai.
Sure.
And I really didn't know. But unless you actually are educated on it, it's really, really tough to know.
It's just an old
name. Now I'm glad. I'm not going to Mumbai. Soon I'm going to Bombay.
You can say Mumbai, Bombay.
Yeah.
Politically, if you want to be politically correct, it's Mumbai.
Okay, good to know.
But yeah, like...
PC here.
Yeah, exactly. And then I moved to Bombay, and then... I was a touring musician. I had from 2012 to 2018, I was working in design roles. I was working in event management companies, always on the side, but pursuing music full time. In 2018, I think my wife and I decided to start a family, and that was on the horizon. And that's when I kind of decided to full time switch into being a music executive and starting to work behind the scenes. There were a lot of learnings for me as a musician, and I felt there were certain gaps that needed to be addressed, and I felt that by working behind the scenes with the industry, I'd be able to fill in those gaps.
Sure.
And the roles I've been at have given me the opportunity to actually do that. So yeah, that was the primary reason why I switched. And in 2019, I joined this organization called Only Much Louder. They are a really big creative and media agency, and they also run a bunch of music festivals. I was curating a lot of their branded content and their music festivals there.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then eventually moved to TM.
So now you work in business development.
I actually lead the live and IP division, which focuses on two major conferences. One of them is called All About Music, and the other one's called Brands and Entertainment. We also have an IP called Bollywood Music Project. It's one of the biggest Bollywood music festivals in the country.
Yeah.
And we're also developing IPs with our partners and other brands, which are still, I can't talk about that right now. But
Sure. So what does a day look like for you then? Because it's quite diverse. You're working across different verticals.
Well, in a leadership role, I feel like as you keep going higher, it becomes less about the kind of work that you're doing and more about people management.
Sure.
So I'm currently in a phase where I'm learning how to be a good leader, how to be a better boss, basically. And that's what I kind of, I've dived deep into that and really figuring out how to get the best out of my team.
What are some of the lessons that you've learned in recent times about that role?
I think it's really important to be patient and empowering people. I think culture trickles top down. So if you're at the helm of something, it's really important for you to really focus on the kind of behavior you're bringing to the table, because that's how your team and your people will go out into the world and represent the company and the agency you work for. So that's something that's top priority for me. I feel culture determines everything within our industry, and if you can build good culture, you'll automatically be able to create things that matter.
Well, you guys have a lot of people. I've had the luxury of going to I've been to your office.
Do you mean India has a lot of people, or do you mean TM has a lot of people?
I mean TM has a lot of people, but India has a lot of people too. In fact, the most in the world.
1.4 billion people.
In fact, the most in the world. Yeah, which also has something to say with one of the reasons that India's music scene is becoming, by the end of 2024, statistically, is going to be the biggest streaming market on the planet.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. I'm an avid believer and an avid fan, of course.
And an avid supporter, if I might add.
Thank you. Well, supporter, fan, I bundle them all into one.
Sure.
But what it is from the core is an authentic love for the music. And actually, if you look at my Spotify and my recent played and my liked songs,
really?
half of them are your artists,
wow.
which is great. And I've just really enjoyed learning about the music and how diverse it is, because you've got this traditional Bollywood film music, which the rest of the world up until recent times knew India for as far as music, right? But you've got this Indian pop music and hip hop music and R&B and
a really big underground and electronic scene also, which a lot of times doesn't get brought into the conversation, but is a really important aspect of what's going on within the country, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for shedding light onto that.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to learn more about that too. So let's talk about TM and some of the artists that you guys work with and what you're excited about at the moment, and and some of the things that differentiate the company compared to others. Because in India, and at least in Mumbai, from my last trip, I've noticed that there are several companies that do representation. They're either agencies or management companies or a hybrid of both. Some of the record labels do some of the management and do some of the publishing. Some don't. You've got the publishing companies trying to get publishing, but then the record labels are trying to sign the artist and get the publishing too. And it's UMPG fighting with UM. It's really weird. So talk about TM and what it is, who you guys work with.
I think just to address that that thing about, how there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things and it's like chaos, but there is some method in this chaos, because I didn't think we had a blueprint to follow and everyone just tried to hustle and do whatever they could. And props to all of them, they live and they learn. I think TM is an amazing example of how when you strongly believe in an artist and you really give your everything into developing them where it can go. To his artist, where he started working with Arijit, he was like just another singer, and now he's the most streamed artist in the world. So that really tells you what hard work and passion can do. And within TM, I feel we are into a lot of things. Obviously, the core business is talent management. We have some of the biggest artists on our roster,
and on the planet.
And on the planet, so Arijit Singh, Badshah, Sunidhi Chauhan are some of the artists that we represent. We also have a booking agency that books for over 200 artists within the country. We do corporate bookings for them. It's called Entertainment Consultant. And then there's a division I lead, which is called Create and Collab. And we develop we basically turn ideas into experiences. So if a brand comes to us and wants to develop an IP, we will create that for you, as long as you know what you want to achieve. So that's 3 things that we do. But TM Ventures also has multiple other things. Like we have Barcode, which is like an influencer management agency, and then there's an app that people are working on.
Didn't Barcode just sell?
They just got
I'm
acquired.
meeting with Rahul, the CEO, next week.
That happened yesterday. Yeah.
It's a small world.
Yeah, it's a small world.
So really interesting. And the artists that you don't only represent music artists either. As a management company, you've got comedians.
We've got the biggest comedian in India, actually.
Some screenwriters.
Yeah, screenwriters, lyricists, directors. And now, in fact, initially we were managing mostly Bollywood acts, but now we have a really strong division that's being led by one of my friends called Agam, and he is focusing on developing the next batch of the big artists, who are going to be the next big thing in the next 10 years. So we have a really young roster also now. Like besides the 30 main ones we work with, we have some amazing new talent, which I feel is going to determine the future of the Indian independent scene. So it's really exciting times.
Well, I'm excited. You please send me some of those artists too, the upcoming ones that you guys are working on.
I'm going to make a playlist and send it to you.
Great. And at TM, what is the difference in style as far as how you service the clients look like from a music artist and a comedian, for example?
Sure.
Is it and I'm a manager.
Sure.
And we represent acts that are musicians and pranksters and comedians and stuff also. But, but we work in completely different sides of the world where, like you said, the blueprint has been different and has been altered.
Yes.
So I'm really curious as to what the style of management looks like. Is it still on a daily basis? Are you still involved in all the strategy, or is it more of a incubator that supports the vision of the comedian? Can you shed some light into what those techniques look like?
I would like to say that there's not really one single blueprint. Every artist is different. Every artist has different needs. So it's really tailor-made to exactly what the artist feels. And the relationship between the artist and the manager is a really important one. It's about the manager really understanding what the objective is of the artist. So let's say one of the artists might want to sell out stadium shows in the next 5 years, but the other artist wants to chill and do his own thing, maybe work on tertiary things besides the music also. So it really depends on what the artist wants. And that's, I feel, one of the biggest gaps, because sometimes the misalignment comes when the manager has a different vision of what the artist should be and the artist has a different vision of what they want to be, you know. And I think what we've been able to do at TM really well is to sort of like marry those visions and figure out how to grow together in a way that makes sense for the agency and for the artist.
Yeah. I mean, well said.
Thank you.
The manager is supposed to enhance the strategy, and if there isn't one, then build it.
Yep.
What has been a moment since you've come on this transition from artistry, really, and you still do artistry by means of your design and, of course, your strategy and creative for tours and IP and all of this stuff that you work on. What has the journey for you been like as far as that transition? Have you found it
very gratifying, actually?
Very gratifying. Do you ever wish that you were still doing artistry 100% of the time in the capacity of an artist, or do you still get the fulfillment at doing the creative and being part of the creative lead for the artists that you work with?
Well, I obviously enjoy being the creative mind and kind of coming up with these amazing concepts that have that can impact pop culture and things like that. But I think one of the cool things is sometimes you find yourself in a position where you can empower people. And I think I really love that feeling of being able to provide a platform for artists, because I personally experienced that as an artist and I had my own struggles, you know, and I feel I have taken that learning into what I do with my work within music now. And I'm trying to just open the doors that were sometimes shut for me. And that is a very gratifying feeling. And I feel that's what I work towards all the time.
Respect, man. Platform for artists and good people doing cool stuff.
Exactly.
With good music, ultimately.
And like-minded people coming together. You know, there's so much work to be done and there's so little time.
Let's get to work, man.
Yeah, let's get to work.
Thank you for being here.
It's been amazing,
see you in a week.
See you in a week, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you.
Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Spotify page, and stay tuned for the next episode of Executives in Discussion on the A&R Worldwide podcast presented by Nuplak with your host, Taylor Jones. See you next time.